Hey guys, welcome back to the Kampai Sugai podcast. I'm Gavin, and we have a really good special guest with us today. Someone who is the Hawaii director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Hawaii Division, Mr. Daniel Rich. Thank you for coming on the show today, dude.
Such an honor. Stoked, man. This is a sweet, sweet time to join you guys here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, for myself, I was part of FCA back when I was in high school, 2007. I'm dating myself a little bit, but 2007, maybe 2010, I was part of FCA. And having you here, it's kind of come full circle for myself. It's kind of bringing me back to those days back in high school, during those lunch times, during those times, the connection with other athletes as well. So, and you're also a valid volleyball player, which I was also a valid.
Let's go.
You know, I was an avid volleyball player as well. So, we'll talk about that. But first of all, let me ask you, how did you get into Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and why do you still do it today?
Yeah, it's been 25 years for me now.
Wow.
When I was in middle school, just a bold young friend named Lindsay. She invited me to an FCA. I showed up to school at like 6:30. I was mind blown.
That's amazing.
That 45 people were there in this chorus room, singing, worshiping with this big youth pastor guy, and I remember recognizing this is a safe place. I needed that because I grew up in a more poor side of town. Most of my friends had made really sad decisions in the first few months of middle school, and I needed a place that I felt safe at. Who could I say yes to if they wanted me to hang out? And that group there and the youth pastor there invited me to their youth group they had, which was so meaningful because I went to church across town, so I didn't go to school with any people from my church. So it was really special to have that. We had so much fun, and there was that bold young student named Lindsay, and then the youth pastor who was willing to get up and spend time at a school and come right on campus because the kids are allowed to invite them in.
Right.
That moment, I just enjoyed being around with them, and it really shifted my life and my friend group, and I believe I dodged a lot of trouble because of being a part of that, and that led right into high school and everything there. So I've had quite an FCA career. We had FCA in my high school, a couple coaches that were all in. Then I went to Clemson University, and the FCA there is the largest in the nation. Over 1,000 students will get together every week.
Wow.
And it's all student-led.
That's amazing. 1,000 students.
They have over 500 people in small groups and I got to see that happen. When I started there, it was only 5 small groups. When we left and graduated, there was over 100 going. There was over 100 leaders going. So it was really a quite
That's
impactful
incredible.
thing. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So I want people to recognize that small common people like Lindsay or that youth pastor or my high school coach or a couple of those kids that stood up and said, I'll be an FCA leader, can really influence people more than they ever know. I never told them that. I never said thank you.
Yeah.
But here I am talking about it with you 25 years later. So so grateful for those guys.
Yeah, and I think for yourself, being connected and staying connected in that FCA culture, I think that's a way of saying thank you as well, because you're giving back to the community, giving back to the kids now these days. Even kids my age that were, in high school back then. I mean,
Totally.
For myself, I still remember it now, and I don't even know where my life would be at without, church or even FCA. Like, my life probably would have been completely different today. So,
What was your FCA like? How did it impact you?
So my FCA was like we would meet in a chorus room, same thing, but I think it was like the band room, and then we would have like a huge circle, so everybody would meet around. Dan Cole, I think Dan Cole was the head guy there.
Yeah.
He would
He's
do
a
a
stud.
message. Yeah, he's a stud. That guy's he's a big guy too. I mean, I don't usually say that because like I'm usually the tall guy, but he's a big guy, So, yeah, he would do a message. We would do some worship as well, and just fellowship. I mean, I think for me the most powerful thing was the fellowship, because I see a lot of those guys today, and I say, like, a lot of them could have ended up in maybe terrible situations, during these like 10 years, for us since like high school. But like, I see a lot of them doing, a lot of great things, a lot of being successful, great families, you know what I mean? And they really staying connected with them. I think that's
Cool.
the most powerful thing. So,
Wow.
so
That's
thank
so
you to
special.
you for what you're doing. I mean, that's so incredible,
Yeah,
honestly.
it is really fun. Last night I got to meet a young guy named Jameson,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lord's so good. I was talking to a coach earlier the day. He's like, I've got some kids at IAEA that want to start an FCA.
Mm.
And he's like, I just need a few more kids. I'm like, great, I'll call this youth pastor, call that guy. And then at a meeting last night, a prayer meeting last night, young kid, Jameson was there helping, volunteering.
Wow.
And I'm like, where do you go to school? He goes, IAEA. I'm like, what year are you? He's like, freshman. I'm like, you play sports? He goes, I like sports, but no. I'm like, you're in. Let's take you. Like, just to see the boldness and the courage he already had that God had given him. It's like, that's the kind. Like everything is built off of simple, common people just taking a risk. And I'm thankful the Holy Spirit gives us courage to do things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Dan Coe's still doing that stuff, and kids upon kids have been impacted by guys like that, and even better, how they equip people to keep doing it. Just common guys like us to keep doing it. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's super beautiful. And then I wanna talk about this because you were director of FCA volleyball in 2011.
Yep.
Oh well, first of all, I want to talk about volleyball for yourself. I mean, when did you play volleyball in high school?
Yeah, this gets fun. My dad was invited to come play church league. It was a league, and they practiced out of our church. And some of the guys went to the church. So it was actually a sports outreach at a church in Lexington, South Carolina. And I would remember going to that gym as 2-3-year-olds, skating around on the other half while they were playing.
Nice.
Always want to play. Can I play? No. Can I play? No. Can I play? Okay, you can play. And I was able to jump high, and I was able to throw fast. And I finally it all just connected. So I loved playing. I remember around my friends, the first time I jumped and hit a ball, they're like, whoa, this sport's great, and we all were pumped. So I ended up playing volleyball in college at Clemson. We had a club team, which turned into starting to play grass tournaments and sand tournaments, which then turned into, hey, let's get everyone in the Southeast that's in college playing in the club realms, because there was no men's volleyball in the Southeast.
Wow,
So
really?
I started throwing tournaments, and people would come down for the weekend, and it's like, this is fun. Like, what a great way to make friends, and it was such a great community. I still remember my first tournament I played in. Some uncles were playing against us, beat us in our pool, beat us bad. I think we used to play side out scoring.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I think we got
okay.
2 points, and they brought us 2 brand new volleyballs. They went and bought us from the tournament store and gave them to us. Like, you guys have what it takes. Keep going. And it was cool to see those guys, because the next year we beat them, and we ended up coming in number 2 in the whole tournament. So it was just fun to learn and be surrounded by the volleyball world. It was another safe place. It was another place that was a good amount of energy to get out, and a great group of people. I'm gonna just go ahead and crazy plug here. Do you know the history of volleyball? Like how
No.
it was invented?
Oh, you know what? I remember. Oh man, back in school I did a report on
Okay.
it. I forgot it now though.
Okay, well, school is still good, I'm sure. But here you go. 1890, a man invented basketball in a YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association.
Okay, yeah,
So
it's
they're
going back to
using
me.
sports to increase the amount of fellowship so they could disciple people. Why? Because about 30 years before that, there was an incredible revival that happened in the Northeast and in Britain, where the YMCA was created. So now you have everyone, because of the Industrial Revolution, living inside of cities, and idle hands are the enemy's hands. Now you have revival, and people are like, well, now what do? We want to follow God. Seminaries would only allow you to be a pastor, a chaplain, or a worship leader. So what about all these lay leaders that are great
interesting.
leaders, managers, hard workers, great men, common men? How do we get them in the game? So they created sports, and basketball was one of them. It was working well until 1895 in Holyoke, Massachusetts. One of the guys, the inventor of basketball, Joe Naismith, he discipled a guy named William G. Morgan, gave him a YMCA in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and the numbers started going down because people were like, dude, basketball's too rough. Like bloody noses, sweating, pain. Like, we need a more Gentile sport, is what he says.
Oh,
So he pulls
really
the
interesting
bladder
choice
out of a
of words.
basketball,
Hmm.
puts up a badminton net to 6 feet, makes it 9-on-9, puts people in a grid, and then gives you 3 serves, and that would be an inning. And then you would get 3 serves, and the other team would get 3 serves, and they made mitt to net. Everyone loved it. And then the YMCA starts watching this growing sport, and they're like, it sure does seem like people are volleying. Let's call it volleyball.
Yeah.
So it shifts to volleyball, and here's the thing. I don't know if you connected the dots. It is a Christian man leading a ministry saying, Lord, I have a problem. Give me a solution. And volleyball is created. So basketball and volleyball have got to be the 2 most righteous sports out there. And I remember watching that video at Marv Dunphy's camp at Pepperdine. And it was the history of volleyball. And it's a super old video. And I'll have to send it over to you. But
Yeah, definitely.
mind-blowing to think God was that far ahead of something called FCA Volleyball, that over 100 years before he's created this, and he's thinking about how he's going to use this sport to reach the world. And then how it's spread across the world, and it's the number 2 sport in the world, is missionaries would take a bladder of a basketball and a net and go hang it between 2 trees in the South Pacific.
Wow.
And they used it as a way to bring people together to share about Jesus. So just thinking of it all, church ministry, my dad, we go to church. Thinking about how the history of volleyball connects it all. It's like God's been using a sport to bring people back to him. What a cool father he is. And,
Yeah.
how
What a
kind
great
is he?
father. Right.
So I like it. I mean,
Yeah. You know, for me, volleyball, yeah, I got into volleyball back when they did, Volleyball Youth for Christ tournaments.
okay,
So back in, I was 6th grade.
we got to
right?
bring that back.
Yeah, we got to bring that back. I love those tournaments. They're so good. So much fun. I didn't get into sports growing up, but volleyball really stuck with me just because of the connection, that team aspect, right? You can't just hog the ball the whole time, pretty
Right,
much.
and you're not stuck in a dugout.
You're not
You
stuck in
don't
a
have a
dugout.
mask over your face. It's a very relational sport, which I'm
Right.
like, only you, Lord. Nice play. Only you.
And it's such a great sport to you really have to work that team aspect into
Yep.
it because if not, I mean,
No ball hogs.
right.
And if there's someone who's weak on your team, it's exposed. You have to learn to work together and put people in the right positions. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really cool.
It's such a great sport, so I really like it.
What position do you like playing?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I like being the setter,
Okay.
but I really like serving.
Okay.
Honestly,
Cool.
I mean, I like being the back guy.
Yeah.
But in some aspects, it's kind of scary too for some people because they're not used to the big overhand serves, and then they're just like, do I bump or do I volley, right?
Yeah.
And I used to help coach some kids
Cool.
too with volleyball. So a lot of them would tell me oh, is it all in the arms? It's like, nope, you gotta work your legs. Your legs, a lot of that strength. You gotta work your
Yep.
knees. You gotta do their get flexibility in. So
Yeah. The foundational stuff.
yeah, foundational stuff. So
Wow.
so really connecting on that level too, it really helped me out.
Well, so what was this Youth for Christ volleyball tournament? What did it look like?
So we would have churches from all over the island, right? We would meet in Mililani. There's a park in Mililani, Mauka. There's it's a huge park, and we would just get a bunch of teams. I would say it would be grades 6th through 8th grade, and then we would do skirmishes until there was a big championship where we would do a big
Cool.
event, and then after that tournament, then we would have a service. So we'd have worship, we would have someone speak. So
Wow.
it's a great. I would love to help out if you guys
Let's
decide
run
to
that
do
back.
I would love to help out with
Cool.
that because it was for me, that was something that really changed my life. Back then, and it was honestly, if I didn't have that in my life, then things might have been a lot different for me growing up. But for that kind of connection, I think that really got me into serving at churches and
Yep.
stuff like that, and really being connected with my community as well. So
Yep.
yeah, that's something.
When I was back in California, there was a church we helped out that was all Vietnamese. The whole Vietnamese denomination through Southern California.
Okay.
And they would have an Olympics These
Wow.
guys would go at it for 2 weekends straight in all different sports, and each church would use it as a way to reach their local community. So they wanted people to recruit, so that the half the team or so would be people from the church, half the team would be their friends.
Oh,
So they're doing something
nice.
incredibly fun, and their friends are getting a chance to hear about Jesus. Plus, they're going to practice together, they're going to spend time together, and they would put specific coaches in each of them. Like, it was an incredible way for a church to reach people in a very relational way and fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to talk to someone with a ball in my hands instead
Yeah.
of walking across the street being like, hey, how confident are you that if you died today, you go to heaven? It's like, oh, man. It's just,
Well, especially if we had like a suit and tie, and then we came up with the
Yeah.
Bible, then they might think
Yeah.
something else.
yeah, totally.
But I mean,
It's a great way to reach people.
it's a great way to reach people and get people connected. Yeah. For when we did those tournaments, like for myself, I was the only non-Christian on the team at the time, so that actually
No
brought me
way.
to being a Christian today.
Volleyball works.
Yeah, volleyball
So good. That is really neat. And we have some of the best volleyball players in the world here. Hawaii's known. I mean, even in the tournaments I would play, as I got better and better, the guys I could not beat were the Hawaiians. I hit the ball at them so hard. I tried shooting it past them, and it's like, man, you're good, you're fast. And then they all can jump so high. I don't know if that's like you're half Filipino coming out, but
Yeah, well,
nuts, man. Like, absolutely
we try,
crazy. It's so next level.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, man.
It's
So
a cool connection.
Yeah, it's a great connection, and for yourself, with FCA volleyball in 2011. So tell me, give me the timeline before you even came to Hawaii itself. So
Yeah. So I'm sitting in a church service in 2007, my first senior year
Okay.
of college, and the pastor said, "What's one thing you would do for God if you knew you couldn't fail?" I'm like, "Oh, remove failure. That's my biggest fear." So irony of that, of how many risks we've taken since then. But my immediate thought was I'd be involved in the AVP, or the Beach Volleyball Tour, and I would do ministry inside of it. That would be awesome. About 6 months later, girlfriend that I was with looked at me and goes, "You're just not my spiritual leader." I'm like, "What do you mean by that? Like,
gosh.
what does that mean?"
What a weird statement.
But in that what I recognize is that I wasn't relating to God. I was doing everything in the motions. I was religious instead of in relationship. And after I recognized the amount of love and grace that God had, then I was like, well, people need to know this. Someone should tell them, like, it's not all rules. Like, I'm going to obey because he loves me, because I love him. It's out of relationship that I obey. And I'm submitted to him, because just like I would do to my wife, or, the relationship with my parents. Okay, yes, Papa, When that clicked, I was like, man, people need to know this. Someone should tell them. And I really feel like the Lord's hand's like, you do it. So I was like, Lord, is that AVP ministry idea still on the table? Here I am negotiating with God. But I
Putting
got
a
it.
contract on the table.
Right. Yeah, he signed the deal. He sent me off to get paid $10 an hour at the for a state park in Southern California. I was a biologist, so they gave me a job, and I was amazed by how many people there were that loved Jesus in volleyball. So I had this incredible opportunity to start FCA volleyball in Orange County, and that same year the Olympic team moves from the Colorado, the training center, Olympic Training Center in Colorado, to Anaheim. So now they're 20 minutes away. And one of my guys I kept hearing about was a guy named John Winder. Like, hey, have you met John Winder? Hey, have you met John Winder? As I'm telling people the vision, constantly this guy's name, probably 10 times. Finally, I'm at church, and here comes this tall guy wearing a volleyball shirt out, and I'm like, hey, man, I do this volleyball ministry thing. He's like, oh, you need to meet my brother, Jonathan Winder. I'm like, yes, please. And he's like, well, he gets back from France. So right then and there, I had a men's group going, invited him in. And then after 2 weeks of that, he had brought another player from the Olympic team. He's like,
Wow.
do you think we could do this on the Olympic team? Could you help? I'm like, nah, I'm busy. No, of course I'm in. Like, let's go. And it was an amazing moment. And that really kicked off him, a few of the AVP players. They're all like, you need to go work with kids and use our influence, and we'll share our testimonies. We'll share about Jesus. So we started finding relational ways to help people reach their team, and some fun ways, camps and clinics and such. And then that began to grow into an internship program. So we would run 7 or 8 camps in the summer, and it'd be heavy to find so many volunteers. So we coupled that with an internship program of current college athletes that want to learn how to lead, want to grow in their faith, want to get better at the sport, want to come out to California for an experience. And that made a really good recipe to develop leaders. So it's been a lot of years now. 150 have gone through that program. It's still running. And I'm just amazed by what those people get to do now. I found out recently that 70% of our interns, so a little over 100, are still coaching.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
That means at any point during the volleyball season, 1,500 or so kids probably are being influenced by our guys, that we've developed them and sent them and developed and sent. And it's been neat to see interns come back and be leaders, come on staff, start club programs. Some of them are D1 college coaches, head coaches. Now
wow,
it's really,
that's amazing.
It's been fun. So I was doing that, and people really loved how we were developing people. So then I was asked, could you help guys run baseball, start basketball, start wrestling, start soccer? So then that got me into a role of hiring and training. And then after a couple of years of that, people were like, we like how you hire and train people. Can you teach our other directors how to hire and train? And the FCA started a new role called talent advancement. So I help people hire and train and help directors. We had 30 directors across California, Hawaii, and Nevada. And then I was asked a special project. Can you help us find and train a state director for Hawaii? So I knew a few local boys. I'm like, yeah, I'll give them a call. They were like, yeah, they're pretty influential here. And they said, yeah, call my mom. They know everyone. So we built a selection team. We found 10 people to interview, got it down to 2. And then finally those guys were like, nope, these aren't the guy. And after a whole week of being around the selection team, basically after they met my wife, they looked at us and were like, we want you guys to come to Hawaii and lead FCA Hawaii. And God had to confirm that, and he did in really beautiful ways. One quick testimony is that we're like, all right, let's take a crazy way to pray. Let's pray for a whole week, and I'm going to go to a cave like David would hide in a cave. I'm going to just go to a cave and be silent and pray. I don't even know what to do with 24 hours in a cave, silent and praying, but I was like, let's just try. And
Which cave was it?
It was in Crystal Cove State Park.
Okay.
So back in California, awesome quiet place. And a buddy of mine knew about the cave, and I'm like, I'm going to the cave just in case I get lost. And I'm going to pray about something heavy. Will you pray? And he goes, yeah, sure. So I'm pulling up to the cave. It's about 2 hours from shooting the text out. He texts me back, hey, prayed. I sense the Lord said something, though. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, I sense he said, yes, we're going there. Does that make any sense to you? He had no idea.
Wow.
So that gave me,
That's amazing.
chicken skin. And I'm like, all right, we're in. I don't even know how to, I can't compete with that. I'm just going to be disobeying God if I don't go. So it's been fun to see how an interactive relational father has navigated us all the way here to Hawaii, and how, our local friends have just invited us, and we've just been slow and gentle and learning the culture, and let people introduce us to the next person. Hey, you need to meet my friend Gavin. He does a podcast. Like, all right. It's like, it's just neat to see how relationship leads to relationship, and how things work here.
Yeah, definitely. And now you're here right now. So
let's go. Sitting on the ground, enjoying a great conversation.
So have you been to Hawaii before you moved here, or?
I came out for one friend's wedding. A good buddy of mine got married out here and spent a weekend with a few of my friends. And but I haven't even, I don't feel like I've even been a tourist here. Like, I haven't stayed at very many hotels. I haven't enjoyed many things that, tourists go to.
Colina, there's Colina.
Yeah, I went to, the Fourth Lagoon a couple times. But,
oh, gosh.
This last year someone took us to the Marriott over there, and that was fun. But I don't feel like I put my feet up, kind of like most people are used to. And, we've just kind of waited to where we've been invited to go, and as people invite us in, then we'll go there. Because I've been really worried about just being known as a tourist. I think it's such a different mindset, and the entitlement or the mainland idea of like, I know what's best. So I've been trying to be really slow and asking more questions and telling people what's up. Has been a really good way. A couple of my guys I would call uncle were very. They were good guides. They helped me out. So.
So okay, I'll give you maybe a list of maybe how to maybe disguise yourself so you know it looks
Okay,
like a turd.
hit me.
So, board shorts. You
Okay.
know, there you go. You're good to go. That's one. You know, calling certain people uncle, auntie. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a sign of respect.
Yep.
You know what I mean? In this culture, even in the mainland, honestly, there's some people I'll call uncle, auntie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they may actually kind of pick it up too, so which is good. I guess it's reached there. You don't have to force pigeon. You know, there's some people that force it.
Yeah.
They'll go like brah. You know, but the thing is, it's like um, there's a certain way maybe you speak pigeon. So like if you say the kind, but there's some people that really pronounce it out. Then we already know. Okay, this guy.
Yeah.
Something's up with this. You know what I mean? His pigeon sounds too clean.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be a little gritty with it. You know what I mean? Um, Another thing, slippers, big thing. If you take off your slippers at the front door, then automatically because there's some people that maybe they wear their shoes and stuff inside, and
Noticed
we
that.
already know that guy. I don't know about that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know about Gavin over there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but if you put your shoes at the front door, I mean that's another thing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this person might be local. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just certain nuances, but honestly, Hawaii is it's a great place because it's a melting pot. I always tell people it's a melting pot of cultures,
Mhm.
just a lot of different people, not just with ethnicities, but just with values and beliefs and stuff. And Hawaii is a great place.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about the food, people talk about the luau's, the beaches and stuff, but I think what makes Hawaii Hawaii is the people.
Yeah,
That's the
100%.
big thing.
100%.
And that's why we have such a great community, and that there's a reason why there's a thing called the aloha spirit in law, right? Because my dad he used to be part of this aloha book. He wrote in this thing called the aloha book, and it's we would distribute it throughout schools. I can show you later, but it's it would show like different pastors that would collaborate and
Wow.
just collaborate and make like articles in this one aloha book. And my dad made a passage in there about the aloha spirit being a law. So when people talk about the aloha spirit, it really is something that's ingrained in Hawaii.
Yep. What is the greatest commandment?
All right.
Love God with all your
love
heart, soul, and what's the second one? It's
Right,
like
love
it.
others.
Love others. Yeah.
Yep.
And that is the law.
Mhm.
Those are the two greatest, and it sums up all the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think my favorite part about Hawaii, my belief for Hawaii to even restoring the world is that here people have decided
Mhm.
we're different, but I'm gonna love you still.
Mhm.
Even everyone knows they define family, like everyone values family, but
Mhm.
how one group sees family and if you really break it down, it's different than another group.
Yeah.
But people still
True.
will support that and honor that as they go in. So there's a culture of honor here.
Mhm.
So that's part of that, the good side of the respect and shame
Yeah.
culture, right? And then on the other side, like there is a tolerance. Like, hey, I'm gonna see that guy tomorrow. You know,
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna see his auntie tomorrow. Like, I need to be thoughtful and held accountable to my actions. I can't just be a butthead and then move town. You know, like you're gonna see him again. You're gonna run into him. So someone told me a funny story. Maybe it was just a joke, but the garbage guy running the trash truck just didn't do something right, and the guy gets all angry at him. And then that night at the party they went to, it was the husband of the auntie who was hosting. It's like, better be thoughtful about what you do.
And then they find out they're cousins, so
Easily done. Yeah. So, but this is a special place, and the amount of unity here, the willingness to work together, the Lau Lima type idea of 400 hands, many hands make light work, kukuing things together. I've really learned, even though we all have different. I'm throwing all my Hawaiian words at you right now, but even though we all have
pretty good.
different
You're good so far.
kuleanas, we're gonna bring them together, or I'm gonna help you. It's really special. I think the world, when they come to Hawaii, may be one of the most desired places to be. I see Hawaii as Rome of the Pacific. Some people say it's just a rock in the middle of the ocean, but I recognize everyone wants to be here, and they want to take from it, learn from it, and they don't quite know. I know some cultures coming from, the other side of the Pacific will see it as this is a place to be free and just do whatever's, and I don't have to be in the rigidity of my life. For others, this is a place of rest, and I just can't wait to get out of my rat race.
Yeah.
But everyone's like coming for something, and I believe part of it might be is just the sense of aloha and the sense of like this place works well together. I wish people treated it a little bit better when they came, weren't so entitled, but I think Hawaii is set up to make a big difference to the whole Pacific.
Definitely. And then, I mean, we're such a small, just a collaboration of different islands. I mean, there's, 1.2 million here on Oahu, but then not counting every other island out there. But, I mean, we're such a small, I guess, place, but there's so much people here, and it's such a big community that, honestly, I mean, there's no other place like it in the world. No other place.
No, and I think the Lord's been hiding Hawaii because truly it was hidden and just as began to be revealed in the 1980s as tourism began to blow up here. Like it was a thing, but it really blew up as marketing and stuff got a hold of it. So now the world's eyes are on Hawaii. If you look at any of the surf companies, their designs and their videos and their photos are coming from the North Shore.
That's true.
And I just think no matter where you go, if you're Hawaiian, people are just very interested. If you're from Hawaii, people are very, very interested in why you do what you do, who you are. So the influence is, I don't know who would have a more influential platform than this place. If God was to do something here, it definitely would spread. This is a city on a hill. So it's an honor to be here.
Yeah, and it's an honor to have you here, you know? And thank you for yourself to integrate yourself into Hawaii and help people, you know, because like you were saying before, there's some people that come here, different agendas, you know, maybe it's just the rest or it's a vacation place, so they think everybody who lives here is gonna be picking up the towels on the beach or something like that, you know. But
shucks,
you know, shucks, but for yourself, I mean, you've come here, you've ingrained yourself with the people here and the community, the unity, and you understand the aloha spirit. I think that's a big key part of it. You know what I mean? Because once you understand that, then you understand Hawaii.
It's very important. And the guys who hired me, a couple of them said, I notice there's a lot we have to learn from you, Daniel, and there's a lot you have to learn from us. And that functioning of humility, to have an uncle say that to me, him modeling that, and then me being able to submit and be humble in return, and agree with that, makes a great relationship. Things are healthy. It's a good culture of honor that it's worth protecting, it's worth fighting for, and it's worth joining how Hawaii functions. So I'm grateful for all that we've learned so far.
Yeah, and speaking of joining and unity, let's talk about this event.
Okay.
The Field of Faith, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Fields of Faith.
Fields of Faith. And this is pretty much the first FCA event that they're having outside of high school normal hours. You know what I mean? This is something on a weekend, 4 to 8 p.m. You're going to have special guests. You're going to have Bryan Clay, gold medalist in 2008, who was gold medalist in decathlon. Yep. Also a silver medalist, too, in 2004. But, I mean...
Well, arguably, we have, put it this way, God's given us an athlete. He's given us a field, a stadium at Farrington, and he's given us everything we need. And you've got Bryan Clay, local guy, went to high school here in Castle, and he's arguably the best athlete in the whole world. Yeah. he did 10 events better than anyone else. Right. Everyone else did like one event. You're like, I'm just difficult. Amazed by that. So it's just neat to see how well he's represented Hawaii, how he's represented the Lord. And then Dan Coe, actually from the Youth for Christ, has him coming out for an event they're doing later this week on October 7th. And they asked us, hey, do you guys want to do a big event together? And we recently, him and Matt Walton from Child Evangelism Fellowship, we created something called the Lau Lima Gospel Coalition, or initiative. And we recognize that we want every kid to hear about Jesus before they graduate from school. Not everyone's going to darken the doors of a church. So how do we go after them? And we recognize with what Matt's doing in elementary schools, Dan and his whole team are doing through middle and high school, and what my team's doing through middle, high school, and college is like, it'd be better to be together. And we see the different giftings in each other. So kind of in the Aloha spirit, hey, let's lock arms and go. So we've built this event called Fields of Faith. It's been happening across the mainland. It typically happens in mid-October on a field, and all the students from a local city, from the multiple high schools and middle schools, will all come together, and it's mostly student-run.
Nice.
So it's an incredible thing, and as FCA, we really care about students getting a chance to be the hero, and we as the leaders are there to equip them. There's a wonderful pastor that says, equip the saints for works of service. So we try to spend our time equipping them to go and be the hero. So they get to be Luke Skywalker and we're Obi-Wan Kenobi type deal.
That's
so
amazing.
This event, the whole goal is to try getting anyone who loves Jesus and loves sports into the stands. Just get to the stadium and get to the stands. Then we want to give a challenge of, hey, listen, last week we heard a story of a freshman at Kaiser who invited their team to church. The whole team showed up.
Wow.
And then the next week, one of them started bringing their mom who's having some major trouble in life. And it's like, a freshman did this? Like, anyone could do that.
Yeah.
And keep sharing all these small kind stories that would, I think, be really inspiring. So we're going to have a night full of stories. We're going to have competition. We'll open up the gates at 4. At 4:30, competitions start with multiple different events, some Olympic style, so that way Bryan can be there. Some that are fun, so for you and I, has-beens, wannabes, we got wiffle ball home run derby. We've got the long jump for other guys. We've got the football toss to see if you can hit the goalposts. And then we're going to have finals at 5:30. And,
wow.
Yeah, my friend Darren Hernandez at Kapolei, and he's a announcer. He's going to announce the finals, and we'll have a few stories being told and a few videos being shared. And then at 6, Bryan will go up. We'll have worship. We're going to have a chance for people to remember what Jesus has done and have a chance to follow him. And then I'll give a message at the end of like, let's go. Get in the game. Like, look at all that these guys are doing. Like, this can be part of your story. Do you want to get in the game? And it's almost like coach being like, hey, come on, come get in the game. Gavin, I want you in. And that's an opportunity and a responsibility. And it's not just sit here on the sidelines and watch. So my hope is that we would have anyone who loves sports, loves God there, and that God would stir their hearts as they hear stories, and the Holy Spirit would move, and we would see people think about their team differently. Instead of being like, I wish it was different, they actually would begin to start caring and being love to their team, bringing in all
being
that Jesus,
involved.
And then all that Jesus was, how he modeled life, that they would do that to their best of their ability, and they'd be Luke Skywalker, we'd be Obi-Wan Kenobi, walking alongside him, and hopefully we disappear at some point. And they keep going.
Force Ghost.
Yeah. So, we want to get people into the game, and it's just funny. I could take that Star Wars analogy probably pretty too far, but we need everyone. This it's like volleyball.
Yep.
Everyone's got to do their role. You got to get in the game. And why would you want to be on the sidelines? I just don't understand that. So the whole event is around that idea that God uses common people. You have what it takes. We'll help you, and we'll walk alongside you when you start your second huddle, or when you start something else and the first one crumbled. Like, we'll still be there. We'll be beside you, and we'll help you get back up. So that's why we're doing it. It's neat to do it with my friends at Youth for Christ and Child Evangelism Fellowship, and Colo TV has jumped in. A couple foundations. Huntington Foundation has given towards this. A couple of major donors.
Nice.
It's just pretty amazing how many people have cocooned this with us.
And you have a lot of like food trucks. You have some vendors that are going to be there as well. So
yeah,
I mean, it's bringing the community together.
We want it to feel like going to a football game on a Friday night.
Nice.
Like, just bring the family. Everyone comes. If anyone in the family loves sports, you all should be there and come and celebrate them. And see how you can do with a wiffle ball home run derby. Like give it a whack.
Yeah.
But this is the people that will be there and be speaking are the ones you want your kids around. The ones you want to be hearing from. They're that Lindsay in my middle school. They're that Dan Coe when you were in high school. These are the people that will help set true north for your life. And it's not going to be a one pop moment. After the event, we're going to have 2 months of opportunities, workshops.
Oh, nice.
How do you build relationship with your teammates? Well, even for moms, we want to create a missional team mom training. So all those moms that want to be a leader, how do you be on mission while doing that? How do you be intentionally loving while being on the sidelines and guiding the team together? So there's going to be some things afterwards that will be the secret sauce that I think will equip the saints for works of service. Just common guys going for it.
Yeah, and it's all about that duplication. Like, with, like, for me, there was always like Dan Coe who influenced me back when I did FCA in high school, but then like duplicating that and being having guys stay connected with others and then being able to have them teach a younger generation as well. You know what I mean? That's how you keep the ball, moving.
Yeah.
And
and we have a great movement at University of Hawaii right now with about 30 athletes that will meet weekly in our huddle. And it's incredible to see how bold they are. And some of them are getting more and more confident at coming out and sharing with high schoolers. And then I hope the high schoolers will become more and more confident with sharing with middle schools as teachers, as athletes, as youth pastors, all begin to recognize, wait, we can go to campus and share the gospel because it's a student-run club and the kids have their freedom of speech. And if they invite a speaker, they're allowed to invite a speaker. Like, that's part of their club. It's what they're allowed to do. So we help those moments happen as those guys hear about this opportunity and they start stepping up. It's going to be amazing how many more times a week the gospel is shared in Hawaii. And I feel like that's our kuleana. That's where we want to be, is like, hey, we're not starting a church. We're not starting anything else. We just want to help you do what you're already doing and start sharing about Jesus and living in a way that's worth following. So it's hard work. It's very meaningful. And I think we just have some of the most influential people in sport. Everyone just seems to be looking at them no matter what. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. But yeah, you're just providing the resources, bringing people together, and that's how it starts, right? Yep. It starts with a team. That's how it starts.
So Team Jesus is meeting October 2nd at Farrington Football Field. We're gonna have some fun and
be there.
yes, you should. You should definitely come. It's definitely not a could. You should come. It'll be well worth our time and quite a joy. So
definitely.
Yeah. So if you know of any, like, honestly, I've been asking my friends, hey, Coconut Wireless needs to get going. If you know 10 people like that love sports, please share the link with them. Share. It's FCA Hawaii. .org/FOF. And that's kind of our landing page, and it's on our Instagram at FCA Hawaii. That really lines up all the stories, and this week we're going to start pushing for social media posts and all that kind of stuff from our friends. And
awesome.
We got one more week.
Yeah, one more week, but it's going to be a strong week, and it's going to be a strong result too, when October 2nd comes around.
Yeah.
So for yourself, just kind of pulling everything together, what's your game plan for FCA moving forward after October 2nd, after some of the workshops in the next 2 months? What's your game plan?
Yeah, so when I look down at my car, I see a speedometer. That's what I pay attention to the most. When I look down at the dashboard of FCA, I notice how many people are we developing per month or per week? How many people can come and be a part of a training or go through an online training per month is the main thing. Because I think if you really speak life into someone, help them recognize what they're gifted at. You encourage them, you walk alongside them, that they're going to notice God's working around them. They're going to notice they have what it takes. They're going to take a risk, and they're going to start ministering to someone, caring for someone, doing typical small things of just having people over, listening to them in the locker room after practice, saying, hey, I want to start a team huddle. Guys, I'm doing a huddle, and 2 people show up. But they're courageous enough just to stay for them and 2 friends. That is what we need to do. So if I'm going to really focus and set a goal, or really who are we becoming, the main, most important thing is speaking life, giving the tools to people, and then being in relationship with them, saying, hey, we're with you all the way to the end. And when you fall down, we're there, and we will be there to walk alongside you. So I need more staff to do that. To continue to, I think Field of Faith, we might have hundreds of people that say, I'm ready to roll. And I can't wait to be overwhelmed for a little bit. I hope that it loosens up, but leaders have got to become leaders of leaders, and we've got to delegate and have people jump in. So I'm just amazed. Honestly, I think if I was to sum it up, there's already plenty of people that have accepted Jesus that are in the sports world. It's just turning them on, just activating those guys. That's our Kuleana. That's where FCA Hawaii is going to go. And we will see the gospel be shared to every edge of this island through relationship, not by one big meeting, not by one big event.
Right.
It's going to be through them. So common people doing uncommon things. And I'll end with this. Peter and John were stuck in front of the group of guys that just killed Jesus. And they said, by what authority did you do this and heal this guy? And they began to speak and they taught. And then it said they remarked, they were astonished at these unschooled, ordinary men that had been with Jesus. So I really hope that, the people we lead would be with Jesus like them. We would help them do that. And then with Jesus, they would go do something awesome, so much so that some people would get pissed off about it.
Yeah.
That would be a win for us, that they're that loving, that it stirs up a crowd. And as I look through the Bible, it seems to be the formula. Awesome things happen, people get frustrated. Awesome things happen, people get frustrated. So Jesus is the most known and most controversial dude out there.
Yeah.
And he's my dude. I'm all in for whatever he's going for. And I don't see people frustrated at what we're doing yet. So it's to come.
Yeah, it's definitely to come. And I'm super thankful that we got this conversation to be able to share about Fields of Faith as well as yourself. I think you're doing incredible work out there, especially for young teens, young men and women over there. They need that kind of plug, to stay connected with. It's hard sometimes being a Christian, honestly, because if you do it by yourself, it's hard because you're gonna just share the faith with yourself. But when you share it with others, there's something about that really.
Yep.
It says in the Bible, iron sharpens iron, but honestly, that's really true.
Yep.
In everything that you do. So,
well, it's fun, and playing with our Father. What I've noticed is that Team Jesus is chasing after lost sheep, and they're beat up. It's not going well for them, even though the facade looks great. You see all the mental stuff going on, the suicide rates going on. Team Jesus is chasing and pursuing lost sheep. So if you join Team Jesus, that's the game we play. Okay, Jesus, who are you working inside of? I would like to go join you in that, being that shepherd to sheep. So it's a fun game, and the best part is he's the one running it. He's the good coach. He's the quarterback. It's all right, just get in the game. Yeah. So teachers, parents, coaches, athletes, volunteers, any of those guys can be on this team. And I know that many of these guys are going to church every weekend, and they have the most incredible hearts. So excited to see how many of them come get in the game. Of course, definitely. And as a lasting thing, for yourself, how can people find more information about FCA, Fields of Faith? I saw on your page you could do a sign up thing. Yeah. So go to fcahawaii.org. And then you can go to our landing page, just /FOF. And then we have our Instagram and Facebook up for @FCA, or is on both of them. It's both @FCA. Right. So, FCA Hawaii. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dan, at the end of every show, we do a Kampai, which is basically cheers. Yeah. Actually, in Japanese, it's KNPAI, but, I spelled it with an M just because people I guess they pronounce it more with the M, but anyways. Dan, this is to you. This is to FCA. This is to Fields of Faith. Good luck to you guys, as well as continue doing what you guys are doing. It's incredible work, and I'm super thankful as someone who's been in that program before. I know exactly what you guys are doing, and it's amazing work. So, cheers, bro.